Hello, everyone, and welcome to our live edition of Decentraland Wellness Week. We are all set up here with Jordana. I should have asked that behind the scenes.
Fine. It's Jordana. Thank you.
Jordana, perfect. And Shira, Lazar, and we are going to have an amazing panel for you today talking about the joy of missing out and how we can make that a daily practice in our lives. So for anyone that is not familiar, hi, I'm Kim Currier. I am the marketing lead here at Decentraland. Decentraland is a virtual social world that is owned and operated basically by our users. They populate the amazing world content that you see, and you can come in and interact every day. If you have not jumped into Decentraland yet, we welcome you to come on in. You can join by going to decentraland.org/play. So this panel today will be streamed in world at 61, -61. Those are the coordinates in Decentraland. So hello to everyone that is in world at the Wellness Week Center. And we are also live on X, LinkedIn, and YouTube today. So happy to have you. I would love to start by having you both give a quick introduction of who you are, and then we could talk a little bit about Wellness Week and kind of why we're here today. Want to start, Shira?
Yeah. Hey, thank you so much for having us. And I love that you're doing this. It's so important. We're really excited to be part of it. My name is Shira Lazar. I am the co-founder of Peace Inside Live and also co-author of the JOMO Journal, a daily practice for the joy of missing out, which we will be discussing here today. And actually, we have a special code that you could buy the journal here today, right, Jordana?
I believe we do.
Okay, so we'll be getting to that in a moment, and you'll get all the info, so stick around for that. We'll be putting it in the descriptions here in the comments, wherever you're at. At any rate, yeah, my background is as a content creator and broadcaster. I've been in the creator space for 2 decades, and it led me into the world of Web3, which I've been a great advocate for, a collector of some great NFTs and supporting digital artists, and really figuring out ways that we could prioritize well-being in this world that we're in that's all about FOMO, and where a lot of us hit burnout. And so we're going to get into more of that today, but I'll throw it to Jordana now for a little intro.
Yeah. Hi. It's so good to be here. And I'm stoked to be part of the first Wellness Week here. It's just exactly what we want. And why Shira and I started Peace Inside is that we want to have peace inside absolutely everywhere, wherever you are. So a bit about my background. I worked in tech and production for many years before leaving to live in the question of who am I if I don't define myself by what I do, which led me to the Himalayas of Nepal, the islands of Thailand. I traveled through India, learning and translating my learning pretty quickly into teachings. That's how I learned even more. And then I was asked again and again to share that. And so that became my world. That was about 8 years ago. And so today I am a meditation guide and coach. I'm the co-author of the JOMO Journal, and also just excited to be bringing Peace Inside here to Decentraland and Wellness Week.
Thank you so much for joining us. We know there is so much you can offer our community in regards to how we can all create daily practices that bring that wellness and that peace inside. For anyone that is not familiar, so Decentraland Wellness Week, this is our first time doing it. Today is day 3 of the 3-day festival. It is a new festival on health and well-being in the digital age. So we will have 16 new community-built experiences and games, some first-time builders. I've gone in and seen them. They are beautiful, very calming experiences. So if you haven't jumped in yet, you can check them out at 61, -61. And we have over 40 live keynotes events just like this one. We have a few more coming up today, so stay tuned on our channels to catch them all. All right, I would love to jump in. And so Shira, you said this in the intro, but I think so many of us are really familiar with FOMO, the fear of missing out, especially if you are in the Web3 world, where it feels like every day there is a new token drop, a new artist release, and you just are like, I missed this one. How can I be excited about what's going on in this space when it seems like it's never ending because it's global? So I would love to hear around that, just kind of how you both started to embrace JOMO and how that kind of word and phrase resonated with you in your daily lives as a starting point. I will start with you, Shira, because I know you brought it up as part of the intro there about how
Yeah.
that's Web3 related.
Yeah, right. Well, it's a daily practice. So it means like if we talk about it and maybe you do a workshop on it or you do buy the journal, it doesn't mean that, oh, now you have no more FOMO, you're perfect, everything is gone. It's something that you need to work on daily. It's a muscle. And I think for us, how it came up more is that we all talk about FOMO. It's this phrase that we all use, but we never talk about the antidote. And so, in our journey of how we bring mindfulness to people and deal with modern day anxiety, I think that we started just to use the word and phrase JOMO a lot, the joy of missing out. And it's not a new phrase. It just happens to be not as popularized as JOMO. And so we thought, wouldn't this be a fun entryway to get people thinking and practicing, presence and gratitude and self love and practices to really get aligned with your own value system and what is meaningful and what makes sense for you versus thinking about all the things that you're missing out on and that you're not part of. And, I think with social media these days, besides Web3, social media also hasn't necessarily helped because we're all kind of watching what other people are doing and comparing ourselves to them. So how do we deal with this? Because I think for a lot of us, it doesn't necessarily work. It doesn't make us feel good. And we shouldn't be okay with being in that place, right? We should be working on doing something about it versus saying, oh, this is just the way it is, right? This is status quo. No, this should not be status quo. We deserve better.
Yeah, absolutely. Passing it to you, Jordana, too, of how you brought that practice and that daily usage to your life.
Yeah. Well, I think I felt the need for us to put this out in the world. In 2021, we were really heavy in the Web3 space, working with different partners to bring well-being to their communities. And something that we were seeing again and again was just how people were staying awake like 20 hours a day, afraid to go to bed, just, like what's going to happen next. And it was like the way that I feel was tied to how the market was doing. And in these ways that, I know, we know, just really don't bring well-being and is not sustainable and does not create happiness. So, it was the fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and the FOMO. And I had previously written a journal called Inner Peace, a meditation guide for beginners. And I really loved that process of writing this journal for people who hadn't meditated before and who wanted some simple practices. And really that's like what I love is like, how can I take what I've learned that, I went and lived in these monasteries for 30 days and traveled the world and meditated in caves. And that is not what people need to do. Really, it's just like a short practice, right? So I love like translating that into these short practices. So I thought, well, JOMO is the antidote to FOMO. So let's do the JOMO journal. It's catchy. We can introduce all of these mindfulness practices that people can do, really in 5 minutes, some of them less, to shift from this place of fear, anxiety, I'm not where I'm supposed to be, to confidence, certainty. And what we like to say is, I am the party, like right here, right now. This is it.
I love that line of really enjoying the present. What you're doing right now is kind of that's where the joy is. I know, Shira, I've heard you talk about that in the past as well. For someone that isn't regularly practicing meditation, Jordana, I'd love to hear from you kind of what would you say is step one? Like they're obviously not going from nothing to going to a monastery. So how can they start easing this into their daily rituals?
Yeah. Well, the question is like, one, do they want to? Right. So the desire needs to be there. I'm not going to tell somebody who doesn't want to meditate that they should be meditating. And to be frank, there are many options that we can be doing that help us to find what it is we're looking for. So the question is like, what is it that you want for yourself? What's your intention? And then exploring the different ways in For me, meditation was actually quite difficult, and today it still is. So I always begin my meditation practices with a breathing practice because it really just helps me to get into my body and to like let the thoughts start to simmer down so that when I sit, I can be more at ease and restful. And so there are just many different practices from, there's breathing practices to just awareness practices. While I'm walking, I notice something beautiful and take a moment to notice something beautiful. A 15-second meditation, we call it savoring. You do that 6 times a day. That's 90 seconds for 2 weeks. Scientists have studied that this actually rewires your brain to see more joy. It's called the confirmation bias. In addition to that, journaling, right? Reflecting, or sharing with a friend instead of venting. Shira was talking about this yesterday, like not wanting to get together with people who vent. Instead of venting, talking about what brought you joy today, right? Just even shifting the questions that we have. This can help us to have a more joyful mind.
I think about that. I'm a parent of 2 young kids, and when they come home from school today, we do a game at dinner that we say what was their favorite part of their day, what was their least favorite part of the day, and then what was the best thing they ate. Like just something fun. I mean, they're under 5,
love
so
that.
super fun
Yeah.
little tactic at the end of the day. And I love
So
being
sweet.
able to do that with my kids because I am not someone that was meditating regularly, taking those moments. Work full time, busy mom, like taking that time to say, okay, I'm going to clear my mind. I think that's such an important practice, especially as we continue to have a more and more global interactive world. So I would love to hear too, Shira, how you help people with those first steps, knowing that they're interested in the first step. So I think that's a great point, Jordana, of do you want to have step 1? And if so, how can we ease people into that experience?
Yeah, we always say you can force a horse to water, you can't force the horse to drink, right? That saying. But also, that just got me thinking when we were talking about meditation. Meditation can mean so many things. Like we think of it as this practice where you close your eyes sometimes and you sit and you're still, but everyone has a different way to meditate, right? You can meditate while walking, right? You can meditate in the forest, like forest bathing. You can meditate while you're, it's being mindful while you're eating, right? And really slowing down and really being present to that. So I think that we need to look at what that means to us. Art could be a meditation for some people, right? Like, when you're in your flow, when like that becomes a time where you stop thinking about things. And so that's what I think. I mean, Jordana is the facilitator, but I think meditation can come in different ways. And then a lot of times people feel limited by what they think meditation is. But it is the idea also that it's not about perfection. It's not about being a quote unquote good meditator, right? The idea is every time you do it, no matter how long you've done it, it's a different experience, and being kind to yourself and compassionate to that process and letting it being present to what comes up while letting it go. That is really the practice. And some days you might have a quote unquote easier, better time than other days. And when you approach it in that way, it becomes a bit more fun and a bit more of a journey versus trying to reach this perfect moment or place. And so, that's what meditation is for me. But in the journal and through our practice of the joy of missing out in JOMO, we do talk about mindfulness and it's present awareness. So we could all do that at any point. And yesterday we were doing a workshop and Jordana led folks on a mindfulness experience, and it was so quick. It was, right now, sitting here right now, just stopping to notice things around you. Like, what brings you joy in this space? What can you notice? And taking the time to do that. And then when you notice that, oh, I have this beautiful drawing that's this artist, this photographer gave me. Wow. It's there all the time, but rarely do I notice it possibly. Or this beautiful view outside my window. Like, I invite everyone in their space right now to stop and look around. And what is one thing that you could notice that you really love and pay attention to right now?
Yeah, feel free to put it in the comments too. Like,
and
take a moment. What do you see? I'm looking outside. I live in California, so I have a palm tree on a sunny day, and I'm from New York originally. Like, I don't normally get to see a palm tree on a sunny day on a Tuesday or Friday while I'm working. So I think if people want to share in the comments, feel free. Let us know what you see in your space around you.
And those are things, the thing is, these are things around us all the time, every day, but rarely do we take a moment to notice this, to slow down. And that inherently is mindfulness, right? Jordana?
Yeah, no, I love that. And like Kim, you just reminded me. So I've been doing this practice for some time, and it's almost like some of it's second nature. So there's these like markers in my life, and I do have a palm tree that's outside of my bathroom window that I always like make sure that I can see at some point. And that reminds me that I live in California. Now I've lived here for over a decade, right? And it does start to become commonplace, it's like, yeah, like this is where I live, but I know where I came from Jersey, so it was cold.
I
And
feel you. I feel
we didn't
you.
have palm trees, so actually I do have
Shira, did you lose her a little bit?
Oh yeah, Jordana. I'm usually the one with Wi-Fi issues.
Yeah, I was like, I think she's
Jordana never has Wi-Fi issues.
All right, we'll give her a minute.
My problem.
Oh,
there you
Jordana,
are. She's back.
you kind of slowed down with Wi-Fi for some reason.
Okay,
you're back. I think
You're back.
I'm here. I'm so grateful to be here.
I love this. A comment we just got from LinkedIn. I'm going to put it up here. I'm looking at the Swiss mountaintop snows. I'm coming from Finland.
Yes.
Welcome. Thank you, Anu Maria.
That's amazing.
I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. So, we talk about this in the kind of JOMO cocktail, this idea of mindfulness, of presence and awareness, and then savoring, really feeling into that. Like, what does that feel like? Right. Because you can notice something, but then really like taking the essence of it and like, because you could be aware of it. We're all like very cerebral, brain heavy creatures. We're like, okay, this is a nice thing. I get that. But what does it feel like? Embodying the feeling of noticing that is a big part of the process. And then I don't know, Jordana, if you want to get into another big word, which we all talk about and we bring up in JOMO, which is boundaries.
Yeah. Boundaries is a big part of having our joy, right? There's this idea that I should be somewhere or I should be doing something else. And that's outside of me. And if I'm not, there's another SH word, and it's shame. There's shame if I'm not doing something I should be doing. And we really want to normalize releasing that and creating healthy boundaries so that I can say no to what is not for me, and I can say yes to what is for me and experience joy in the moment. So we have different practices that we help people do. One of them is looking at your to-do list and finding what you're not going to do. Especially for my type A overachievers, like what are you not going to do? And what are you going to like have joy in not doing? Can you cross that off your list with joy and say, not today?
And Jordana, for me, sometimes with that question in our journal, it's sometimes even not like a to-do list thing. It's more something that's not serving me, right? So, I'm noticing I'm complaining a lot.
Totally.
That is something, either a boundary I'm going to set with myself, or I'm going to joyously not do today because it doesn't serve me. It doesn't support me, right? So those are things that come up for me personally, even in practicing this.
Yeah. And you have a lot of self-awareness, and if you've been doing this JOMO journal for a longer time than most people. So yeah. Shira's our advanced practitioner.
Yeah.
I think that's so wonderful. I worked with a coach who we had on yesterday, Nikki, and she had talked about this idea of like those little moments throughout your day that you're both talking about. And I love that idea of even writing them down. I did this practice because I tend to not notice all of my beautiful little moments throughout the day. And so I did the light up moments or moments that brought me joy in a day, and had a notepad, and was so shocked by the end of the week of how many little moments there were. It was like, my daughter ran up and gave me a kiss without being asked. Like, that's an awesome one. Or, I fell asleep on time and got a full 7 hours. Like, that's amazing. Or the sun, I was laying on the grass stretching, and I felt the sun on my skin. And like, sometimes that just feels so good if you've been inside working all day. And so I love hearing that, and would love to hear from you both kind of when you started being more cognizant of the moments you were having, taking this into a daily practice, what are some of those little moments you noticed that you started incorporating into your everyday? I could start with you, Jordana, if there's anything in
Yeah.
particular that worked well for you.
Yeah, I started this practice um, when I left my job in production and advertising. I mean, I had it then, but I feel like it really hit home for me in my heart when I traveled. So I left my work and I went and traveled to places that look so different, act so different, are so different from my everyday. And it was just, I mean, it was wow. So taking that in helped me to realize what a blessing my life is, and just how much I have that I can be in these places. And when everything was so new and I went back to Santa Monica, California, I also I kept it because it felt like I have all of these treasures within me and I'm here and I also enjoy it here, and I enjoy that my life is one that has taken me to the Himalayas of Nepal, right? And then to the streets of Santa Monica where there's these beautiful trees that sprout up from the sidewalk. I think they're kind of killing the sidewalk, but I still find them to be gorgeous. Um, and really to have I was just noticing the difference, and that helped me. And every day still, I walk down these streets. I go for a walk to the park. It's a dog park, and I enjoy looking up at these trees. And yeah, the entire street is lined with these trees that all look the same, and they're pretty common to California, but I love them. And so that's a practice. And really I do find that I tend to connect with nature. So again, like that tree that I look at, the palm tree that I look at outside my bathroom window is one of those as well. And then it supports me in a practice to create more beautiful spaces. So I just moved back into the place where I live now. A few months ago, I converted my living room into a sound healing studio. And every week I try to beautify it a little bit more, add a new plant or a new light, or, just make sure that things are arranged in a way that feels clean and good. And so for me, the practice of, noticing, savoring, enjoying helps me to create and proactively create more of those moments.
Yeah, for me, it obviously we're different people. Like it's been more of a process, right? There wasn't this one aha moment. I think for me, I noticed I was hitting a lot of my own walls professionally because I was putting so much focus on my work, my identity in my work. And when things worked out great, I was on top of the world. And when things didn't, I was like, what's wrong with me? And it led me to minor depressions. And so, because I'm very cerebral and solution based, I would say, okay, well, what are the solutions? What needs to be done today? But that wasn't really dealing with the issue at hand, that I was attaching my worth and my value to these external things. And so finally, after hitting many versions of that experience, I was like, oh, what I'm doing isn't really working. What's the lesson here, universe? I was like, okay, well, maybe I should start, a gratitude practice. When things aren't working out, start noticing what is working out. So being more conscientious of that and doing that through journaling. And so every day really focusing on, and it's not about toxic positivity, it's about a reframe. Like I'm very well aware of the things that get to be worked on, the challenges I have, and I work on feeling that and processing that. And yet a lot of times that can become the focus, and then your whole story of your life is around all these challenges, which is real, but it's not the whole story. Right. And so the more I noticed, I focused on the things that were working across the board. And again, they didn't have to be big things, right? It didn't mean I got that big job or my bank account suddenly had this amount of money. It was like the little things every single day, which the incremental awarenesses became the bigger leaps. And so me noticing the things like my coffee that I really enjoyed, or the fact that I woke up alive, right? Or the fact that my parents are in good health, or I'm in this amazing home, I have Wi-Fi. I started to feel better. I started to look like my lens started to be, for me at least, a more positive one. And then in the presence of feeling more expansive and positive, that was how that created other positive things, because I started approaching even the challenges with some more optimism, right? And
Yeah,
so
it's like they say, right? The things in motion stay in motion.
yeah, and for me, that's how it started to work. And again, it's a practice. It's not always there. And then, but in the awareness of when I'm really in a darker place, or I'm going in some sort of downward spiral of like the what ifs, the shoulds, the like, all of that, I'm going from point A to point Z instead of from point A to point 8.1, 8.2. I slow down, one, and I figure out, okay, what can I do this second, the incremental step, and then what is working right now, right? Like, what in my life can I be aware of that is working? And that has been a beautiful gift, right? It's allowed me to see the gifts in life, and then focusing in on that, which has made me feel better. And it's shown to rewire also our neural systems, because we could be in a path that is a negative loop to more of a positive one. And yeah, it makes a world of difference. So that's been a journey of that awareness, and then practicing it as well.
Yeah, sure. I tend to find myself doing the same thing. I very closely align my personality to my work
Yeah.
and how I feel that day. Did I have a good work day? Did I not? Do I feel like we're moving forward? Is it feeling like a failure? Is it not? So I just wanted to bring in some of the comments I'm
Yeah.
seeing in Decentraland from our community in world. So shout out to everyone that is watching at 61, negative 61.
I feel like it's
So
like Burning Man. It's like, we're
yeah,
at
you need to know your coordinates.
the intersection.
Did you know Decentraland original concept came from Burning Man?
No.
Yes, very fun
Cool.
fact. That idea of a world where there's just the foundational elements, there's just the space, and you come
Yeah.
and each person and group populates it with their own creativity. They bring what they need and they all like work in community. That was the original kind of idea behind Decentraland. So
Cool.
fun fact with the Burning Man. I'm seeing people in our community in world. They're watching it via the stream. So if I'm looking over here, that's what I'm watching. So I want to do shout out Blease, Tang Poco, DJ Rabbit, I see you. Isa said, what Shira is saying is so true. It's really hard to focus on the good things. We're always focusing on the thing we didn't get right or the thing we didn't do. And I think that's so true for many of us.
Wait, Jordana has a great stat that we use, and it's so natural of us as humans to do it. So be kind to yourself, which is why we need to work on the muscle to focus on the positive and what we're grateful for. What's the stat, Jordana, that we discussed?
Yeah. What Isa is talking about is the negativity bias. That's what she's experiencing, and it is it's our nature to look out for what isn't working and to focus on that. And in fact, 85% of the thoughts we have are negative ones, right?
Yeah. Oof. And 90% on repeat.
95 are repeats. Yeah. So we are like in this washing machine cycle of negative thoughts. And so if we don't do anything about that, that's going to be our lives. That will direct our lives. That's why we have created and why we love these interruptions, these kind interruptions. That's just like 15 seconds, right? Just 15 seconds a few times a day, or journaling for a few minutes in the morning and at night. This can rewire us so that we confirm that life is actually beautiful. There's so much to be grateful for here. I love who I am and what I've created in my life, and I want to create more of this. And then that just it goes out into the world. It doesn't mean that we don't have the negative spirals. What it does mean, though, is that we get out of that negative spiral faster than we would have before.
Yeah, the gap becomes smaller and smaller the more you practice it, right? It's like anything. It's like a skill you haven't done. So it's hard to jump on a bike, you're falling. The more you practice it, the easier it gets.
And the thing is I don't know that it, like, until you maybe become enlightened, that you ever can be triggered and then not have a response, right? That's, maybe it's like anger. Maybe we're working with anger here. Someone says something to me and I get angry. It's not like, it's not that that anger doesn't exist at some point in time. It's just that I notice the anger faster, and then what that's doing to me. And then I can use my intellect and really decide, okay, where do I want to take this? Do I want to respond right away, or do I want to take a moment, right? Maybe I want to take many moments. I just want to walk away with this for a while and come back. Maybe the anger's still there. We just learn to be more skillful about how to manage the response we have to something that triggers us.
Yeah, and I love this comment I'm seeing from our community member after you all said that. Happiness isn't a destination. It's right now if you choose to see it. And that's from Blease, who's in World at Decentraland as well. And I think that's so beautiful. Blease actually created a beautiful meditation space in our community that everyone has been going to for community meditations these past 3 days. And so I think that's so true in taking those little moments to say, I can choose what I want to do right now. Even if I'm angry, I can choose to do deep breaths and walk away. I can choose to sit with that anger if I feel like that's the best thing I need to get through it. So I really love that direction of choice coming from the community. I did want to ask you all, as we've talked about the JOMO Journal, what are some of the types of prompts people can expect? Like, I know there's so many versions of journals. Some are blank, where it's a dump of your mind at times, and then others are more prompted and guided experiences. Can you talk about the direction you chose, why you chose it, and kind of some examples?
Yeah. So this is a guided journal. So the only place where you're sort of left on your own is every 7 days, we've got a doodling page where it's about what brings you joy, what brought you joy this week, and that you can draw that out just as a way to create something different for yourself. But morning and night prompts are there. And it's just so that it can be as simple as possible for you. And yeah, Shira is also showing some of the beautiful artwork that's in the journal. We've got
From digital artists that were part of a campaign we did to raise money for mental health charities. So
yeah.
the NFT community in this too.
Yes, we did. It was so amazing to have them share what joy means to them. And to have that be inspiration in the book. Of course, your drawings don't need to look like that. It's really just about, it could just be doodles that you just enjoy doodling. And we encourage that, right? Because we want to think differently. And one of the ways that we might think differently is by trying a different medium. But one of the questions that I love the most is a morning prompt. And it's, what are you going to choose joy in doing today? And that word choice is coming in again because, yeah, it's going to be joyous for me to, I'm seeing a friend later and we're having this tea that I really love. So of course that's going to be joyous for me. I'm naturally going to choose joy, but what if I challenge myself to choose joy in folding my laundry this morning and putting away my clothes? That's something that I might have seen as, I want to put it off. I don't want to do it. But if I can choose to have joy in doing that, and that's actually an example from my day, I realized this morning that it only took me 4 minutes and that my room looked so much more clean and easy to be in. And so it's changing my mind around, my laundry days. It's becoming more joyous. Oh, yay, I get to just spend 4 minutes to fold this and have a clean space that feels good.
Yes, I love that. Again, the idea of choosing joy. And Shira, I know you pointed out some of the art, and we do have a.
I was like, hi.
Yes, I know I had to pull it up. I was like, she's Vanning perfectly. We do have such a Web3 audience. So I would love to hear a little bit more about the artists, how you chose them to participate.
Yeah. So leading up to the launch of the journal, we actually did for Mental Health Awareness Month in May, an art campaign, an NFT campaign called the JOMO Effect, the Joy of Missing Out Effect. We partnered with Timepieces and Deepak Chopra's Save a Love. And we launched a collection of 40 pieces, and each artist is in the Web3 community, or, you know, as we know in the Web3 community, they're also just traditional artists too that happen to have gone digital. And they each created pieces for this specifically of what joy means to them. And so you can imagine the range of different types of pieces and just beautiful forms of expression. So we sold those, and it all went to mental health charities. We then took 12 or how many of 12 of those pieces, and then put them in the journal as well. So when you buy the journal, you also get access to some of these pieces.
Here, I'll ping you up.
We had different ages, different backgrounds globally. This is from Dr. Lemony, who says, "I see you, sis." This is what that piece is called.
Beautiful.
We have, this is from Dark Myths, who's an artist, Sky Cruisin'. And they also provided quotes of, you know, joy's appreciation for the little things in life that sparks the will. So as you're going through and inspiring yourself, you can be inspired by these artists too, and get some, you know, prompts for you, like what comes up when you see this. You know, this is Serenity by Lindsay Kokoska. And you could also, at the end of it, we do have a QR code. You could go in and buy those on Magic Eden. But it was a great way to kind of blend in the work we're doing in Web3 and the art there with this physical book.
Yeah, I love that. I know when I originally heard about the book itself, and then I saw you talking about the artist, I was like, what a beautiful way to bring something that's so needed to this space.
That's a copy, anyways,
and like pull it in.
Yeah, and it's also a book with exercises, and that's experiential.
Yeah.
And so you have a bit of that 360 experience. And again, we do have a 15% off code for those in Decentraland right now. Decentral for 15% off, not 15 on our site, peaceinside.live/JOMO.
I will pin it up here on the screen. In 1 minute. I'm just making sure I typed it correctly.
Yeah, totally. But, you know, I think this is just, for us, it was such a expression of our own love and joy of putting this together, really. You know, I personally, I love journaling. I love art. And to be able to come together with Jordana, who's a longtime friend and co-founder, to then bring our loves and passions together and create this was also just our own practice of JOMO in many ways. And so, yeah, it's really cool to bring this to people and for people to be using it and to see how it's really supporting them in their lives right now is really great.
Yeah, I was going to say, I love that you said it's also a coffee table book, because someone recently told me that they have it just in their place. There's someone who they host a lot of gatherings. And so different people are actually filling out their JOMO journal and leaving it like in their living room. So
love that.
Yeah. So we designed it so that it was for an individual, but this is such a unique and awesome use of it that people who come in actually are journaling what brings them joy, and then they're like signing their name. So there's all these people who are entering their space who are using the JOMO journal in that way.
And I also wanted to say that we've talked about choosing joy. I love that phrase, because so much of our life, and as Jordana mentioned, just who we are as a species, we're so in automatic sometimes in survival, and we default to negativity. And so how do we go from that reactivity that all of us face in life and just going on automatic to being more intentional and responsive in our lives and choosing how we want to live and how we want to show up for ourselves and others, and really slowing down to, even for me, do these prompts on a daily, or even when it's not daily, because I even sometimes forget where I'm so busy, you know. But whenever I do come back to it, it's amazing how it shifts how I do show up and how my day is, because you're setting the tone. And then at the end of the day, you're able to really take in what happened versus, again, how many of us, and I spent a decade almost disassociated. So many things happened in my life and I barely noticed them. You know what I mean? I was like, then I look back, I got nominated for an Emmy. I won these awards. Oh my God. Like in that moment, it just went by so quickly because I was on to the next. So for me, like I even have to remember doing this Decentraland Wellness Week, this experience, like, wow, how beautiful. Like I'm super appreciative of this because we're always on to the next, right? And so how do we really sit in appreciation of all these little wins that make a huge difference? And yeah, like we get to notice them in our lives because there's so many of these moments. And I'm like that came up as we were doing this. I was like, I could just go through this and it's like another live stream, or I could be like, wow, what an honor that they asked. Like that we're here talking about this. So cool. Slowing down to notice and appreciate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was one of our main pillars for creating something like this. I know I was talking with both of you before the presentation today in the green room just about how Decentraland, our community knows this. We always joke, Decentraland is a vibe. It is a party. It is a good time. You meet up with your friends, you're dancing. And so when we were thinking about different ways to engage the community, we were like, what if we slowed down? And what if we enjoyed our time together maybe more quietly? What if we enjoyed time sitting in a circle? One of the builders did this beautiful scene that is a group hug. And so when you get into this bubble, it has like all these hearts. It's so beautiful. When you get in, it automatically has your avatar's hug. And so like, what if we did something like that instead of when you get into a scene, you automatically start partying? Another builder did a beautiful space called the Nirvana Oasis. When you get up, it looks like little yoga mats on the second floor. And when your avatar steps on the yoga mat, you all in sync start doing yoga movements. And like, that is such a beautiful thing to experience. Even if it is in the digital world, I went in and I immediately felt calmer physically, even though my avatar was doing the yoga. So I think taking those moments to say, technology has offered so many ways to distract us, to disassociate us, but there are also beautiful moments where you can come in and maybe be more authentic than you are in your physical world for whatever reason, wherever you may live. It may not be as welcoming to who you are as an authentic self. And so allowing this space for people to just come in, be who they are, chill together. Someone made a stretching room where you just come in and stretch.
Oh, that's
so like
my
I brought my avatar. I brought my avatar in there yesterday, and then I physically like stood up and started stretching. And I was like, why not? Like I need a stretching reminder all the time, as I'm sure many of us do working on computers all day.
Like even as you were like describing that, Kim, like the yoga, like just hearing you describe that, I felt like, there was like, it's like it has all these effects that we don't even quite realize. Okay, so we're not going to a yoga class together, but this is like that little step Shira's talking about, that like point 1, point 2, right? Because as soon as we start to feel, that's calming and that's fun and that's community, then I start to stretch my body.
You feel it lower.
Yes, my shoulders are dropping. And actually, by the way, I've been to Decentraland at Burning Man, and they're actually part of a trifecta of camps. One of them was my camp, which was Naked Heart, which is all about these workshops for connection, and that Decentraland would partner, with Naked Heart year after year. It's just really showing the ethos that it's not just about like where we are digitally, but where we are in our hearts and connected to one another.
Yeah. I just also, this is what I love about the Web3 community or this space. Like the intersection of tech and art and creativity is just unbelievable and continues to inspire me. And yes, in tech and digital culture, we can look at the negatives, and there's a lot we have to and get to work on. But at the same time, we can't forget what it also does to empower folks and to introduce people to new ways of looking at life and being and connection. And we really need to remember that part of it, because it's a privilege to be able in real life to have access to these things and to feel safe. And so, if you don't feel safe IRL or don't have community, but this provides that, amazing. You deserve that. And how do we cultivate more spaces like that, which is what I love, and like really get creative with how we connect. And art is so much part of that. And so, I mean, how can you not be blown away by like all this, what comes out of our minds, right? And then shows up in these spaces, like, is incredible. It's like, I just think
Totally.
that is so cool as well, which is why I continue to be drawn to this space despite all the headlines and what people say. There's just so much magic. So
yeah, I wanted to show this space because Jordana, I feel like you'd like it. This artist, Augie Worlds, created it, and these spaces, I'll play it in a second, all move in rhythm to breath and to meditations.
Wow.
And he changed the space every day, so it would be a different meditation and movement of the build.
So
but
good.
Just a really cool way to see how the entire space is the breath in, the breath out. And I loved how he did that. So this is just a quick little glimpse at all the little details built on the movement, which I just thought was really fun.
And so many of these things, even in doing JOMO effect, you know, we
Yeah.
forget because we practice this all the time. We think, oh, everyone does this, or at this
No,
point,
yeah.
it's so normalized, or there's calm and headspace. Like, we have come a long way, but at the same time, so many people still either don't get it, feel alienated by it, they feel intimidated by it, or just don't have access. And so whatever the entryway is to get you to start thinking about your being, what feels good, what doesn't feel good, and to take care of yourself, I think the better. So I just love that. That is really cool.
The hug zone. That's amazing.
The hug zone.
Oh my God.
This is the picture
Cuddle
video
puddle.
live of people hugging. I'm going to bring it up. But they have the hearts swirling. I'm like, how cool is this? When we thought of wellness, I mean, we thought pretty much everyone was going to do like a meditation. And so it was really cool to see people bringing different things. So when I thought about your like moments of joy, I was walking through the spaces to be like, okay, what is the moment I felt when I walked into this space? And this one, there's a bunch of different activations happening, but I was immediately drawn to the hug and the swirl of the hearts. I was like, what a beautiful little way to bring that gratitude in. So I thought sharing that with you all who are not in world. For those of you in world, obviously go hang out at the hug zone for a little bit and do one of the yoga poses.
I wonder if there should be a study on like, you know, the hugs, the digital hugs, and like, you know, because we know that like a 10-second like actual contact hug can help the body fight like infections and ease depression and all of that. Like, I wonder, because watching that, you know, it was so beautiful. Like, I also felt very connected. I want, like, it would be really cool to study.
Jordana, we got to do it. We need to do a study, the digital hug versus the.
We can help if you need. We, one of the first, when we emote is the action in Decentraland. And when we opened it up to community members to create the actions, which are actually NFTs. So people purchase them and get royalties from them. The first one was when the first hug happened in Decentraland. It was like such a big moment for all of us. And it's probably one of, I'll have to look at the stats, but it's like one of our most used ones, I would say, like the wave, the hug. People really do come in and give each other a hug in the morning. And I love seeing that. So I just wanted to also comment, another comment from the community, learning to appreciate the good things is a path to self-love. And I think all the work you all do around JOMO and the self-love bucket that we're all kind of in and trying to have more of those spaces in our daily lives. I really loved that we were able to introduce people to the JOMO Journal so that they can have those moments of gratitude as well. I know we are coming up on our hour here. So thank you everyone for listening. I want to give you each an opportunity to talk more about where people can find you online and how they can get the JOMO Journal, which I will pull those details up while you're talking.
Yes. Well, we're everywhere online.
Everywhere.
You know, at Shira Lazar is where you can find me. at Peace Inside Live. Go check out the journal. This is a very special discount for everyone here during Decentraland Wellness Week. You just use the word Decentral and check out the promo code, 15% off the JOMO Journal. We are entrepreneurs. We are, female small business. So not only are you giving back a gift to yourself or possibly someone else, because a lot of people buy this actually also as a gift to someone else.
Yeah, what a beautiful gift.
Life. Yeah. But you're supporting female entrepreneurs and small business. So we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Jordana.
And something in the future. So you can find me at Peace Inside Live. Also on Instagram, it's at Jordana_is_. On X, it's Jordana R. Jordana was taken. I don't even understand how that.
I feel
But,
you.
So one of the things that we're planning in the future is to create these JOMO groups. And so getting people
Awesome.
together, figuring out the cadence, maybe it's once a month where we do one of the practices for joy. And then we have open conversation about what's bringing us joy. We connect with one another and we encourage each other to seek joy. Rather than to, vent and really to have that joyous place. So if you get a JOMO journal or if you join our mailing list at peaceinside.live, then you will be one of the first to find out about when we're going to be having those get-togethers, those groups online.
We also, if you're into Telegram, I know a lot of the Web3 universe.
Yeah, definitely.
We have a Telegram group. Just search at Peace Inside Live. Wait, is it Peace Inside Telegram? Peace Inside Telegram. You can find our group where it's in many ways a support group of peers, but then also we have mental health professionals, courtesy of Held Mind. So if anything comes up that you need support with, we have official folks who can help you.
Awesome. Well, thank you both so much for joining our first official Wellness Week. We really enjoyed having you. Thank you to everyone who participated by listening live, talking in the community. We are in Decentraland at 61-61, hanging out for the rest of the day. We have meditations, additional panels coming up, and just want to wish you all a very well day. We will see you in the metaverse. Thank you again, Shira and Jordana, for being a part of this. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Kim. Thank you, Decentraland.
Thank you.
Bye.
I will end. Bye.